This presentation goes with the StudySync lesson, Literary Focus, Early America. I'm Kathryn J. Walling. This is intended for my students at Horizon High School. It can be used to review the quiz. You'll know you've got it when you can answer. Can I evaluate details to understand key ideas? Can I summarize and paraphrase texts? Can I make inferences and use evidence to support understanding? Can I use text evidence and original commentary to support an appropriate response? Can I analyze content to draw conclusions? Based on the text, which of the following options best characterizes early American literature? A. Early American literature is best described as solely influenced by Native American storytelling traditions. B. Early American literature is best described as a diverse mix of writing and storytelling techniques that were informed by various cultural influences. C. Early American literature is best described as solely faith-based and originating from the writing traditions found in the Puritan movement. D. Early American literature is focused on defying British conventions of spelling and grammar. Based on the text, which of the following options best describes early American literature? A is incorrect. It is not accurate to say that Native American storytelling traditions were the primary influence on early American literature. The influences were plentiful and varied. B is correct. The text explains that early American literature was informed by a wide variety of cultural traditions, all of which came together during the colonization of America. C is incorrect. It is not accurate to characterize early American literature solely based on Puritan influences. Many other cultures and traditions contributed to what is understood to be early American literature. D is incorrect. Answer B is correct. What information does the following passage, paragraph 6, mainly convey? England had a well-established literary tradition at the time. Shakespeare had died only 4 years before the Pilgrims landed at Plymouth in 1620. By contrast, because North American settlers were occupied with establishing the colonies and had little time to devote to the creation of original works of fiction, the majority of early colonial literature was utilitarian. Observations of North American geography, biographies, and treatises. What information does the following passage, paragraph 6, mainly convey? A. The passage explains that Shakespeare was an important influence on early colonial literature. B. The passage explains the impact of England's taxation on early colonial literature. C. The passage describes a notable difference between English and early colonial literature. D. The passage suggests that English literature was more interesting than early colonial literature. What information does the following passage, paragraph 6 mainly convey? A is incorrect. There is not enough direct text evidence to make this the best answer. B is incorrect. There is no evidence to support this claim. C is correct. This passage explains that England had a robust literary tradition already in place. In contrast, the new colonies did not have the time to devote to writing plays and fiction, and instead focused their writing on documenting the new world around them. D is incorrect. This is a subjective judgment. It does help explain or summarize the main ideas of the passage. The following passage, paragraph 9, most closely suggests that early American literature, many of the inhabitants of North America during the colonial period were struggling to adapt to unfamiliar circumstances. Native Americans saw the land they had inhabited for thousands of years overrun by newcomers. They saw their populations being decimated by European diseases and colonization, which culminated in violent battles over territory. Early European settlers sought to establish themselves and tame what they viewed as a wild and alien environment, documenting their efforts in diaries, letters, and books. Enslaved Africans passed on oral and written accounts of their daily struggle to survive the violence and degradation imposed on them by colonial masters. The following passage, paragraph 9, most closely suggests that early American literature, A, was informed by a sense of struggle, B, attempted to explore the injustices of oppression, C, was responsible for starting the Revolutionary War, D, united colonial America's various cultural groups. The following passage, paragraph 9, most closely suggests that early American literature, A, is correct. This passage suggests that the variety of cultural groups that existed in colonial North America had writing and/or storytelling traditions that were largely informed by the struggles they faced in the New World. B is incorrect. While Native Americans and enslaved Africans did appear to grapple with oppression through their writing and storytelling, there is not enough clear evidence in the passage to suggest that the settlers were also struggling with oppression and wanted to explore it in their writing. C is incorrect. There is no evidence to support this claim. D is incorrect. While storytelling and writing are activities that all three cultural groups described seem to have shared in common, there is not enough evidence in the text to suggest that their interest in literature united them. The following passage, paragraph 12, adds to the development of the text mainly by explaining that authors use rhetorical devices like similes, metaphor, and irony, among a long list of other things, to convince their audience in more subtle ways. Thomas Jefferson was a learned student of literature and philosophy and had a keen sense of how to use these devices. In the Declaration of Independence, he employed a straightforward style, but used rhetorical devices such as alliteration, allusion, euphony, and repetition to drive home his points. The rhetoric used during the late colonial period was instrumental in fostering the revolutionary spirit that defined the times and formed the basis of the arguments that led to the founding of the United States of America. The following passage, paragraph 12, adds to the development of the text mainly by explaining that A. Thomas Jefferson was a well-educated scholar and politician. B. The first rhetorical devices originated in ancient Greece. C. Thomas Jefferson knew he could not convince people without rhetorical devices. D. Rhetorical devices were influential in the founding of the United States of America. The following passage, paragraph 12, adds to the development of the text mainly by explaining that A is incorrect. This is not the main idea of the passage. B is incorrect. There is no evidence to support this claim. C is incorrect. While it is clear that Thomas Jefferson understood that rhetorical devices would assist him in making his arguments more persuasive, there is not enough evidence to suggest that he relied solely on rhetorical devices in order to communicate effectively. D is correct. This passage shows that rhetorical devices were important tools of persuasion that helped motivate the founding of the United States of America. According to the text, which of the following best describes the typical form of Native American literary tradition? A. Native American literature is mostly based on hieroglyphics. B. Native American literature is primarily an oral tradition. C. Native American literature is primarily a written tradition. D. Native American literature is mostly harmonious in form. According to the text, which of the following best describes the typical form of Native American literary traditions? A is incorrect. There is no evidence to support this claim. B is correct. The text states that Native American literature was mostly expressed orally. C is incorrect. The text states that while some Native American groups had written literature, the majority of Native American literature was actually expressed orally. D is incorrect. While the text characterizes Native American literature as often focused on the harmony between the natural world and the human world, this answer merely characterizes their literature. It does not tell us what form their literature took. Which selection from the excerpt best supports the correct answer to question 5? A. The Constitution of the Iroquois Nations, which contains some of the original ideas about self-government and later influenced the creation of the founding documents of the United States of America, was passed down for hundreds of years through Native American oral traditions. B. Creation myths described how the earth began, and origin myths explained how things like the moon or mountains were made. C. Many stories emphasized the sacred harmony, or interdependence, between humans and the natural world. D. Some societies developed writing systems, especially those in modern-day Mexico and Central America, but the majority of Native American peoples maintained a rich oral literature tradition to preserve their beliefs and histories. Which selection from the excerpt best supports the correct answer to question 5? A is incorrect. While this quote mentions Native American oral traditions, it doesn't directly relate to the previous question. B is incorrect. This quote doesn't relate to the previous question. C is incorrect. This quote doesn't relate to the previous question. D is correct. This quote supports the correct answer to question 5. According to the text, the Enlightenment was a movement primarily committed to the use of A. Philosophy, B. Religious faith, C. Emotion, D. Reason. According to the text, the Enlightenment was a movement primarily committed to the use of. A is incorrect. The Enlightenment was a movement within philosophy. B is incorrect. There is no evidence to support this claim. C is incorrect. The Enlightenment was focused on the use of reason. D is correct. The Enlightenment was a philosophical movement that advocated for the use of reason above all else. Which sentence from the excerpt best supports the correct answer to question 7? A. European Enlightenment philosophers, including John Locke and Thomas Hobbes, introduced a political philosophy concerned with equality and the natural rights of man, which provided a foundation for the creation of modern democracies. In North America, Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Paine, and Thomas Jefferson incorporated Enlightenment ideas into their rhetoric. C. The Enlightenment was a philosophical movement that promoted the use of reason in all areas of intellectual life. D. Both the Enlightenment and the Great Awakening helped to shape a distinctively American sense of identity, encouraging people to find their own way rather than subject themselves to the power of traditional governments and religious institutions. Which sentence from the excerpt best supports the correct answer to question 7? A is incorrect. This doesn't directly support the correct answer to the previous question. B is incorrect. This doesn't relate to the correct answer to the previous question. C is correct. This quote shows that promoting the use of reason was the primary aim of the Enlightenment. D is incorrect. This does not relate to the correct answer to the previous question. Match the term with its definition or explanation. A religious movement that called for simple and very strict rules of worship, discipline, and morality. Puritanism. The war between the American colonies and Great Britain that resulted in the colony's independence. Revolutionary War. A period of religious revival and renewed commitment to religious belief. Great Awakening. Control of the government of a state or country by its citizens. self-government. A philosophical movement that questioned traditional thought and believed in the power of reason, enlightenment. Settlements formed in a new land by people from another country who are still connected to that country, colonies. Based on the text, order these events chronologically. Christopher Columbus's voyage to the New World in the late 1400s provokes European interest in North America and leads to the settlement of the first colonies. Between 40,000 and 10,000 BCE, small bands of people cross over a land bridge from Asia into North America. High taxes on British colonies contribute to the start of the Revolutionary War. As early as 1501, the Spanish start enslaving Africans and bringing them to North America. Based on the text, order these events chronologically. First, between 40,000 and 10,000 BCE, small bands of people cross over a land bridge from Asia into North America. Second, Christopher Columbus's voyage to the New World in the late 1400s provokes European interest in North America and leads to the settlement of the first colonies. Third, as early as 1501, the Spanish start enslaving Africans and bringing them to North America. Fourth, high taxes on British colonies contribute to the start of the Revolutionary War. If you have a question, please open the assignment in Google Classroom and write a private comment. This links the question to the assignment and allows me to provide a better answer.